It's so easy to feel sorry for ourselves and think that we're going through things that nobody else has gone through before. I think back on the way people lived just one generation ago without some of the conveniences we have and having some of the hardships that they had, victory gardens, rationing fuel, rationing rubber, plastics, all of those kinds of things. But it's true of the spiritual lives too, isn't it? If you look at Hebrews 11, you find Abel sacrificing through giving and have his life taken. Enoch went straight to heaven because of his lifestyle. Noah built an ark when there was no sign of rain anywhere around. Imagine the ridicule he took. Abraham set out not knowing even where he was going. Sarah believing that she could have a child in old age. Moses crossing the Red Sea and leading a whole army of people into the very borders of the Promised Land. Joshua taking that Promised Land, marching around the walls of Jericho. David facing giants. And in the New Testament, Peter and John being threatened with their very lives if they continued to tell about Jesus. Paul beaten, shipwrecked, lowered in a basket over walls, going into imprisonment for literally years. And Jesus who endured the cross. But you know, it doesn't stop with the Old Testament and the New Testament. Think about all of the pastors who lived on next to nothing, maybe some vegetables out of some of their parishioners' gardens. They didn't have retirement plans, their own house, or great salaries that came close to what the world pays people in the business world. Evangelists who traveled 90% of the time away from their families and away from their children just because they wanted to proclaim the gospel. Missionaries who gave their lives, missionaries who lived in substandard housing, ate substandard food, had little to no pay. No, it's not just the Old Testament and New Testament. It's just in the recent past with those that served in ministry. Today, we think it's a tough thing to put on a suit and a tie. We want to be casual. We want to drive the best of cars. We want to have the nicest of houses and the best of food. Listen, I think it's important for us to look at Hebrews chapter 12. Therefore, since we have such a great cloud of witnesses surrounding us, think of the cloud of witnesses there are now. Not just those that are listed in Hebrews 11, but the ones that we have around us now. The pastors, the evangelists, and the missionaries who suffered far more than any of us that have been in the recent days of ministry. So, since we have such a cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us lay aside every encumbrance and the sin which so easily entangles us. Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. And here's the verse that I think we all need to remember when we start having a pity party. Hebrews 12:4. You have not yet resisted to the point of shedding of blood, and you're striving against sin. That's a challenge for all of us. When we start feeling sorry for ourselves, having pity parties about how hard the ministry is, how hard it is to be a Christian today. Listen, we have a cloud of witnesses that suffered far more than we can even imagine. We need to continue to endure, knowing that cloud of witnesses watching us, and set aside our encumbrances and run the race with endurance. That's your thought for the day. God bless you.